just to hear your story, to have people
That's
hear your
cool.
story.
No, so actually, so it was Margaret, the swim instructor that you guys are using now. So I've been friends with her for a long time, and um, I saw her one night at karaoke. We're kind of hanging out. It's our like Wednesday night spot to hang out at karaoke. And so she came in, and I haven't seen her in a while, and she was just telling me all these great things, these changes that's been happening in her life, and she mentioned this. She's teaching to swim now, and I kind of laughed, and I was like, oh, that's great. I'm like, and I said that I don't know how to swim, and then she's like, oh my gosh, you have to really take this class. And I just I said, no, thank you. I'm good with swimming. I don't need to know how to swim. I'm okay. I'm fearful of water. And so she started explaining to me that orca swimming is really, I'd be the perfect candidate for it. And I didn't believe her. And
Uh-huh.
so she talked to my wife a few times, and my wife was like, "Oh my gosh, you should totally get Marisa to swim with you." And she's like, "She won't do it. She's too fearful of wanting to be in the water." So it took Margaret, I think, a few times to come in back to karaoke and kind of over a few drinks convince me to tell me that this swimming class is going to be something that is going to be beneficial for me. And
Yeah.
one of the stories, as I always joke with her, is I said to her, I was like, well, this sounds like I'm just going to learn how to drown efficiently. And
Efficiently.
yeah, and she laughed, and she's like, no, it's not going to teach you how to, she's like, it's not like that. And so I was kind of hesitant. And then there's a couple of things where I said to her, I was like, well, skinny people don't swim very well, because I heard that we just kind of sink. And she was
Uh-huh.
telling me that in orca swimming class, they don't, that's one of the like myths is that you that it's not about, you learn how to float. And I was like, no, I can't put my face in the water. And so I think it took probably over like several weeks to
Yeah.
convince me. And
Yeah.
then, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was wondering, I'm caught back in the earlier piece of your story when you said, when she said she's teaching swimming, and you said, oh, no thanks. Like, I mean, if you hadn't met her or had this possibility of swimming, I mean, is that something that you had just sort of resigned yourself, like, well, this is something I'm just is not for me? Or, I mean, what was your feeling before that?
Yeah, actually, I told myself I was never going to learn how to swim. Like
Okay.
I convinced myself that I'm too deathly scared of the water, and I even tried like a couple of times where I'm like learning how to float, and I couldn't do it. I was too scared to do it. And
Uh-huh.
so when Margaret was saying, it's nothing like that, and I was like, no way, I've taken classes before. I said, I've already done this. I'm like, how are you going to be any different? And
Uh,
so and so she's like, you just have to come and try it. You have to just have faith. And and then my wife started talking to me, and she's like, no, you should really try it. And so finally I was like, okay, fine. Both of them kind of ganged up on me, and we're like, you should just try it and do it. It's gonna be really good for you. And so I was like, all right, dreadfully, I was like, okay, I guess I'll take the class, and I'll learn how to do it. So up until like trying to get there, I was like nervous, like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to be in this class. But because I knew Margaret, I was like, well, I know Margaret, I trust her. I'm, you know, if she will teach me, at least she'll teach me how to drown better, and I can like figure out how to save myself maybe. And
I love it. I think the first time you told me the story, you said, I was going to learn how to drown calmly.
calmly, yes, that's right. And that's what I thought it was about. I was like, okay, I'm still gonna drown, but if I'm gonna drown, I better do it like the right way. I don't even know if there's a right way to do it. Oh, sorry, that's my dog in the background.
Oh, that's okay.
And so I finally, we got into class, and it took me a while to kind of just warm up. I mean, I wouldn't put my face in the water, and I just kind of sat in the corner for a long time going like, nope, not going to do that. Nope, skinny people drown. And and then I think what finally kind of got over my fear was everybody was playing in the water, and they started to throw toys in, and I was like looking at everybody like, oh, that sounds so fun to like look at, like, to dive for things. And so I kind of just, I didn't even think about it, but I was like, I want to do that too. And I actually like stuck my head in the water and tried to grab one, and I pulled out super fast, and I was like, I said to myself, oh, I just stuck my whole face in the water. Am I crazy? And I thought, wow, this is so fun. And then I started to forget that I was actually having, because I was having so much fun, it
Mm-hmm.
completely like changed my mentality of like the float. And then I thought I was able to float better and not have, my biggest fear was floating on my back because
Uh-huh.
I felt like I didn't have control. But then once I kind of was just playing, I forgot about everything else. I forgot, I was like, wow, I missed out as a kid, and I missed out on all these like great things that
Yeah.
that I was able to do. So that was one of the things that I started to learn was, I think, playing in the water, and then learning the whole process of being first circle and
Uh-huh.
knowing that I could, anytime that I need to take a breath, I could just relax and like, you know, I can calmly but not drown myself.
Yeah. What does because anybody who might be listening to this, they're not going to know what first circle means. What does that mean to you when you say that? You can if you feel like something's gone wrong, you can always, it's about being in your first circle. What does that
I
mean?
think it's about being present and being mindful to yourself, and
Yep.
just mindful of just concentrating on what's actually happening and not panic.
Yep.
Because before I would think that I would panic, I'd have to, kind of reach for the side, or I would feel like, I would be drowning. But when I realized I don't need to do that anymore, that I can actually, oops, sorry, that's my phone. It's my Star Trek phone. Sorry, I'll turn that off. But it's just coming back to that whole being mindful and being present of what you're doing. It's also very meditating to
Mm,
be in the water, and that helped me a lot.
yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's nice. I had a student today. She's a rock climber, and she was telling me about climbing a particularly hard climb in Yosemite, like the backside of the dome kind of
Mhm.
thing. And I said, man, I would imagine rock climbing, you're all about feeling gravity. You want that gravity sticking you to the wall. And in the pool, it was her second day in the pool today, and she felt she totally let go, and she felt the water hold her up and the buoyancy. And he said, man, this seems like a great partner. Gravity and then going to a pool and just giving it up and letting
Exactly.
it hold you.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I started to learn was that one, I was having fun. And I think that now, even when I'm in the water, I mean, I'll go when we're practicing, or even when we do the 102 class, I'm just going and I'm just playing, and I try different things because I don't think I'm swimming. I'm just playing and
Yeah.
like doing certain things, like learning like how the water moves is something that I actually really enjoy. Just like sometimes thinking at the bottom and just kind of realizing, oh, it's so different down here. That I could do that now and feel like free. That I don't have like this worry that something's going to happen because I know what to do to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And tell me about what you're doing right now in your swimming.
So my goal is actually, we talked about this, was to do the lake swim.
Uh-huh.
And well, my first goal, I accomplished my first goal. So I'm very goal oriented. And so
Yeah.
my first goal I completed because I went to Hawaii and I was able to snorkel for the first time in my life. And I thought, wow, this is like the greatest thing, is like to be out in the ocean and like not have fear, and just to kind of, it was kind of nerve wracking at first because when you're in the ocean, you're trying to figure out what to do. But then the moment I stuck my head in the water and I was looking around at the fish, I was like, wow, this is so cool. I totally forgot I was in the water. All I wanted to do was like play with the fish. And so now that I accomplished that, I was like, well, what else can I do with my swimming? And I thought, when we were talking about swimming across the lake, I thought, wow, that's the coolest thing, to swim across the lake. I've never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that feeling of like that, wow, this is a cool thing to do. It's like, now I know how to swim, I can safely swim across, and I know what to do. I won't panic. If I if I need to take a breath, I can just, float on my back. And and I understand how the water works now because I've been like just constantly swimming and just training at this point. So I've been in the water like, 3, 4 times a week just so that I can start, getting ready for to swim across Lake Washington. But another goal that I actually wanted to do is my wife and I are going to go to the Philippines at the end of the year. And there's these islands in the Philippines where you can, and I could never go on this trip because I didn't know how to swim before, but you basically are dropped off in the middle of the water and you have to swim to the islands because they can't board onto, there's no beach or anything. So it's just swimming in between these islands. And actually these islands were in the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh,
So it's pretty cool to kind of go, wow, I'm actually going to go to the same place that they did this filming. It's
yeah.
really beautiful and it's like magical. So that's something that's another goal, is to do that at the end of the year. I'm
Yeah.
super excited about that.
That is super exciting. And I can't wait to see footage of it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take a video camera of this time.
Yeah, that is so neat. And I'm really looking forward to this summer swimming across the lake with you.
I
Uh,
know that's the exciting thing too. And actually, I talked to my wife about this because she was a little nervous that I was going to swim across.
yeah.
And she's been swimming for a long time as well, and she's like been a lifeguard. And she was a little nervous because she was thinking, like, she was like, what if you need to like take a break, or what if you get tired, or what if you get a cramp? And I actually told her, I said, by swimming and playing around in the pool, I've kind of learned, like, if I need to take a break, I can stretch in the water. That's one of the things I've learned, was just to kind of play around in the water, is by stretching and by doing certain things in the water, where I realized, oh, I can totally do this in the pool. I could probably do it out in like, water is water, so I can do it out in the middle of the lake. Or I can get on my back and just rest when I need to. But
Uh-huh.
she was excited. She's like, but you're not swimming by yourself. I go, no, there's going to be like 300 of us. And I told her, I said, and plus I'm trying to get people from Orca to swim with me. So
Yeah.
she was happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Well, and she hasn't had the experience of understanding, learning the skill of being in charge if you panic or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Because
So,
she actually almost drowned when she was a kid. And
mm,
she was in the river and the log hit her, and she actually survived something like that. And so that's why she was like, swimming is so important. But because she's experienced that in her lifetime, she wanted to make sure that I understood, that I got the training that's needed, that I know what to do. So she was kind of happy that, like, she's like, okay, you're not going to be by yourself. You know what to do. But it took her a while. She was a little nerve wracked because I
yeah.
wanted to swim across the lake.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it is something like that. Even if you've been swimming your whole life, you do with a team, you know, just like in a triathlon or it's just the smart thing to do. No matter who you are, that you have a support team, right? And so
Yeah.
that event has a support team. So yeah, I mean, she's right in thinking, yeah, I mean, when you do something big like that, you run a marathon, there's a support team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, you want to have a support team. So yeah, that is great. So yeah, anything else that you would want to tell people or share with people about your experience?
Um, I don't know. I think the biggest thing, because the reason why I've been so fearful of swimming is because, being Filipino, my parents, grew up on the islands, and when they learned how to swim, it was kind of like you just threw them out in the water and they could figure it out. It's like
Mm,
that sink or swim mentality.
uh-huh.
And so my mom did that with me, and when she tried to do that with me, she actually took me out to the swimming pool and she said, okay, we're going to learn how to swim. And I was like super excited. I was like, yeah, I'm going to learn how to swim. But she taught me that if she just dunked me in the water and held me down, then I could get used to being in the water. And I felt like she was trying to drown me or kill me.
Wow. Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I was fearful that anytime that I put my head in the water, or I even taking a bath, I wouldn't take a bath for weeks. Like, and my mom, and because my mom did that, I was like, every time it was bath time, I'd run and hide because that's how scared I was in the
Oh
water. And all I wanted to do was just take a sponge bath.
gosh. Wow.
I mean, I finally got over my fear of just taking a bath,
Uh-huh.
but that kind of just stayed with me. Like having water just kind of poured over my face was something I did not like at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And she wasn't doing it to be mean. She was doing it out of love.
Yes, because she was thinking like, well, this is how we learn in the Philippines, so I'm going to teach you how they taught me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder if I mean, it's good that she learned, and I wonder if there's other people who don't learn and either don't survive or find ways to just stay away and hide the fact that they don't really know.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I mean, that seems like the tactics. At least I know in my family, when my sisters were learning how to swim with me, all of us had like the fear of water because we weren't really taught the right way to swim.
Yeah.
And so, it was either used as a way um, to just learn how to sink or swim, or, used in a way where they just thought, well, why can't you just naturally swim like we did?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I suppose, and it does teach you either sink or swim. And so then right? It puts
Hmm.
the fear of everything in you. Don't go over there. And that is a strategy to keep somebody safe, is
That's
to let
true.
them know how scary it is. Then you don't go over there. But
That's true.
yeah, but then you also miss out.
Yes, and I missed out on all the playing time, and that's why you see me in the pool playing constantly.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
love
that
it.
one of the things is that I think that if you just learn how to play in the water, everything else kind of goes away. The fear, and having a good time. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed the water because it's so calming and it's very relaxing.
Hmm.
And I know what to do now. It's not something that I'm fearful of it.
Yeah, yeah. And there were steps that got you to the play as well in the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want somebody to think that we just say play.
Oh yeah, no. It was a quite a few. It took me a while actually because we didn't start diving for toys until maybe the second weekend, and
Oh,
it was
uh-huh.
and it was the first weekend where I just kind of sat there not wanting to. I was too afraid to like float or I needed a spotter to kind of help me gradually kind of helped me get used to being in the water. But then it was that second weekend when I was like, oh, I want to play with what everybody else is doing. And that's kind of what the thing that allowed me to kind of go just have fun.
Yeah, the light turned on.
Yeah, and it's like, and even like Margaret was teaching me. She said, because I would push myself, like I'm like, no, I'm going to learn how to do my back float. And she's like, are you having a good time? I'm like, no, I'm not having a good time. I hate this. And she's like, let's do something else that's fun. So having her tell me that let's do something else that's fun allowed me to kind of go, yeah, you're right. I can have a good time. I can play and do something else and not torture myself on just this, making sure I get this one way of how to float or technique or something.
Right, right. And it's not that you don't understand backfloating now. You came back to it, but at a time when that then sounded like fun. It wasn't torture anymore.
Yeah, and actually, for a long time, I thought bobbing was torturous for me. Not torturous, but it was just something that I needed to. I didn't like it, and
Uh-huh.
then now that's probably one of my favorite things to do is just bob because it is fun. Once I've kind of got past just trying to push myself, the bobbing helps me a lot in everything like that I do now to get a
Yeah.
breath or to take a rest.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. But it really is about letting it go, right? When it's not
Hmm.
fun, you weren't learning it. When you did the fun things, you learned what you needed to learn, and then those other things become interesting again because you know some things.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Just some details that you didn't even know you needed.
That's right.
Yeah, but you just discovered it when you played. Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. That's great. Okay, good. Well, thank you.